Without any doubt, we're actually at a time, an inflection point in hematological malignancies and cancer in general. So this is a great opportunity to see what's happening in the field. And there are a number of very interesting topics from immunotherapy, cell therapy. There will be a dedicated symposium on CAR T cells, a number of lectures of cell therapies and the next step. And also how targeted therapies are changing the field by either combining with chemotherapy or as consolidation or maintenance, but also sometimes replacing chemotherapy. In addition, to understand better on how can we use those drugs and those novel therapies. So this is really on the way we can personalize more and more the treatment of patients towards precision medicine and better outcome. What is interesting in the format of the meeting is that it's an opportunity in 2.5 days to actually cover really what's happening in the field and how the field is being changed by the research that is ongoing. When you go to larger conferences, ASH, ASCO, and a number of others, where you get update of very important science and novel ongoing clinical trials and publications and so on, it's important to try to filter down on how this is changing the day-to-day care of these patients and managing patients with blood cancers. So this is an opportunity for all care providers, nurses, physicians, and other care providers to really see where the field is going and how the field is changing. And that's really, again, such an exciting time where we see novel therapies that are, many of them, game changers and are getting accelerated approval. Well, I always say that this is, we couldn't do our mission without our nurses. So it's a teamwork, there's no question about this. But in the era where also we are trying to expand and facilitate the connection of patient to the medical field and all that, having the nurses also really well aware about research and novel option can also guide patients and also provide information to the community, education to the community, and expand the access to clinical trials or novel therapies. Well, I think this year we have a format that answers exactly that question. And I'm going to say that the field is changing in medicine forced by three main forces. The first one is really the fact that the non-sustainability of healthcare, the way the spending and the cost of healthcare, and then the rising of chronic conditions and the cost that comes with it. For example, cancer will increase 45% in the next 20 years. That's really important. So this is one aspect. The second aspect is digitalization of healthcare and more consumer-oriented healthcare where patients want information among all the options and all that. And the third aspect that is really changing the field is a rapid progress, acceleration of discovery. When you think of the pipeline of medicine, this is over 10,000 new drugs. 2/3 of them are in oncology. Many of these drugs are game changers, targeted therapy, cell therapy. We alluded to immunotherapy and CAR T cells. So really rapidly changing the field. At the same time, we have an accelerated awareness of the diversity of cancer, including among blood cancers, well beyond the current classifications. So the ability to try to move towards precision medicine to identify what's the best treatment. And finally, another aspect that's very important, pharmacoeconomics. And that sort of brings it together, and we'll have actually a session based on value-based care in that conference that tries to help us understand on how we're going to adopt novel ways for reimbursement and deliver the most efficient care for patients. What's the best sequence of care? I think it's a really important question in blood cancers and across cancer. If you look at lung cancer now, between the options that are actually available, approved, and in a late pipeline, 79 options for non-small cell lung cancer. If you look at myeloma, there's over 10 drugs approved. What's the best sequence that you can deliver to your patient? So altogether, we will review on how the science is moving the field, the discovery, the novel therapies, but also on how the new pharmacoeconomic models and reimbursement fit into this. And actually, I'm very optimistic, and I think all of this is not contradictory. And I think precision medicine and innovation is the answer for value-based care. I think that the cell therapy is really, and immunotherapy is really well beyond a buzzword. I think the first approval of a live gene-modified therapy with the approval of the CAR T cell in ALL on August 30th is a milestone in medicine well beyond oncology. And I think this is the responses in that phase 2 multi-center trial was actually well over 80% with a 63% CR, all of them being MRD negative in the bone marrow. This is very, very impressive, and many of these patients remain in long-term complete remission, and some of them go into an allo transplant or can potentially be cured with that therapy. This is way better than twice what was available for this patient with a relapsed refractory ALL in that setting. So this is the first approval. We know that we're going to have an upcoming approval likely this year in also aggressive lymphoma, diffuse large cell lymphoma, and where patients have no option when they have failed the standard therapy. And we also have response rate of 83%, 53% CRs, and we know that now with 1 year follow-up in a KITE trial for the ZUMA-1 trial, we still have 40% of patients in complete remission. So that's really, really impressive in that setting, and I think a game changer. So we'll have dedicated sessions and also actually a workshop symposium the day before, focusing on where these cell therapies are modifying the field. The second aspect that's very exciting on how these novel therapies, second and third generation of these kinase inhibitors and among others, that actually are showing remarkable activity with very mild toxicity profile. And combining some of them, we might be able to actually go well what we have been seeing so far, which was very often partial remission, try to develop combination of novel therapy to achieve complete remission status and hopefully be able to stop therapy. And in the context of value-based care, this is very important. And the third aspect very important is that how we're going to integrate molecular diagnostic, liquid biopsies, and MRD status in managing patients better with blood cancers. Well, education is the best medicine, right? And smarter medicine is always better. So the ability to be together in a room with physicians, care providers, to talk about novel options, to interact with key opinion leaders and the researchers in the field is an opportunity for people to obviously go through the CME process, but also to learn and to try to interact and really update the way they manage patients with blood cancer. And what's exciting is that this is the combination of the best of the science and the medicine, but also look at the practical way on how this is impacting the field and how we manage patients differently. So it's an opportunity to try to revise and review what you're doing, so hopefully when you go back home, it's well beyond an education process, you're actually going to do smarter medicine.